a three-part series that I've been doing. That I've been doing since Tuesday. I did one on 5 star. Then Wednesday, yesterday, I did one on loose ends, and today, conclusion, soul to soul. Now that group was definitely a different group from the previous groups that I talked about. 5 star and loose ends, they were different. They had their own sound. The two songs that stand out from soul to soul obviously is Back to Life and Keep on Moving. I mean, Jazzie B, Karen Wheeler, they were doing their thing. Karen Wheeler, lead singer, they had a lot of success, coming out of London. They're just following that movement that was going on at that time, led by 5 star and Loose Ends. Now here comes Soul to Soul. They in the decade coming into forming in 1988 in London with two major hits that they're known for. 1989's UK #5, US #11, Keep on Moving. Then the follow-up was Back to Life, that was #1 in UK, US #4, and Back to Life. And then they won, 2 Grammys. They were nominated for 5 Brit Awards and twice for Best British Group. So they were just doing it as a group, man. They were one of the all-time greats coming out of London. They had their a lot of success, open window of success. Then they kind of fell off a little bit. That happens. But this group had Jazzie B, Karen Wheeler, Nelly Hooper, Simon Law, Doreen Waddell, Rose Windross, Daddy, HB, and Jazzy Q. It was their first single called Fair Play, with Rose Woodross lead vocals recorded at the Africa Center. They made a note that charted at number 63 on the UK singles chart. They made Feel Free. Then one night, 1988, Residency hosted a personal appearance by NWA, who were briefly in the UK promoting their album Straight Outta Compton. That's what was cool in his profile. Together with eclectic mix of funky dread, a humpy face, a thumpy bass for a loving race. That was a theme club classic that combined British, Caribbean, African, and African American influences. That's what collective represented. A new plaque now commemorates this collective significant influence on the original venue and closed in 2010. It was named the Electric Brixton. Also, Jazzie B hosted a show on Kiss FM. I don't know if that's at Kiss FM. Maybe talking about the UK, must be. Radio station in the UK. Anyway, Keep on Moving, man. That was their single that just took off and it became a success. Sold over 1 million copies. It had a new sound to it. You listen to that record, it was definitely different. The first album was Club Classics Volume 1. It was #1 in the UK, sold 4 million copies. The next single from the group was Back to Life. That was their biggest hit, Back to Life. Hitting #5 on the US Hot 100, #1 on the UK singles chart. The single went on to win the group their first Grammy Award, first Best R&B performance by a duo or group, with Vogue in 1990. The group would continue to see some UK success, but Back to Life would be the second last US hit for the group. I mean, they made another album after that, Volume 2, A New Decade, Get a Life. Windross and Waddell, they departed from the group late '89, so Marshall Lewis came as a cousin of Jazzie B, joined the group, and Lewis was on the lead vocals and charted at #3 at the UK singles charts. The song sold over 60,000 copies in the United Kingdom, stuff like that. So this group had a great brief run of great success. Dreams a Dream was the second single. Then The People, they garnered moderate success in the charts but managed to achieve success on the dance charts. Then Missing You, that performed well on the charts. I think when they came with their third album, Volume 3, Just Right. I mean, Yes Joy, they reached the top 10 on UK singles chart. Move Me No Mountain, that had moderate success in UK. The third single, Just Right, suffered the same fate, relegating the album to limited moderate Sellers figures again that was the best of times for them. They like their first sounds really when things took off. You know, they were still making albums, but it didn't hit and connect like it did the first two albums. You know, but I wanted to do something on them, just talk about their input, their imprint that they made in the UK and outside of America and in America, because what they did was different, man. They were different, you know, with their sound. Their sound was different. It was just different, man. Everything that they did when they first came out with their first album and second album, it was just different from what was going on at that time. That's why I wanted to do include them and what they represented for us the UK, the British R&B groups at the time, the band. Because you look at Back to Life, that was a hit record with the sound of all of its own. You know, Back to Life, However Do You Want Me? It was the sound of London's funk, red brew, 80s club scene, right from the underground, scattered its way to the top of the charts. And at the same time creating its own entirely new sound. That's not easy. They could have went with what was going on in America, with the stuff that New Edition was doing. Truth. You know, groups that in the R&B world, Atlantic Star, you know, groups that were doing it at the time, Cameo. But they had their own sound. They stayed in their own lane and created their own sound wave. You know, built around shuffling beats, a sub bass line, string stabs, and a catchy Karen Willis sung chant hook line. It's a groundbreaking record. You talk about that song Back to Life. It's something that was different. So the sound of Soul to Soul, only distinctive, the band grew from the original tracks that Jazzie B was creating exclusively to play the club nights. Got Yashishiki, the Japanese-born programmer who worked down Back to Life, much of Soul to Soul's 1989 debut album, Club Classics Volume 1. He remembered vividly the first time he witnessed the funky goings on at the Africa Center in 1988, the year he moved to London. He said that in those days, hip-hop and rare grooves was happening. It was great to see Soul to Soul at the Africa Center. The members, DJs, and dancers were unbelievable. They had their own sound. I just go back, like everything that they did was different. It's totally different, and that's why they gotta be included as one of the great British black groups of all time in terms of what they did for a little bit of time. The sound changes, the music changes, it don't last forever. Things change and you move on to something else. But at that time, during the late 80s, who was doing it better than Soul to Soul? I mean, Soul to Soul had everything on lock. They were dominating the music industry. They had a lot of success, not just in the UK, but in America. So this song, again, Back to Life, was released on May 1989, aided by a memorable video in which Jazzie B and Karen Willis and Soul to Soul collected performed on a nighttime stage setup in Epping Forest was suddenly everywhere. It raced up to the British chart to #1. Then in America, the track made Soul to Soul stars when it reached #4 in the Billboard chart and won a Grammy. We turned the table into a lead guitar, says Jazzie B. He also said that we turned the MC into the lead singer. We turned the average DJ into the superstar DJs we know today because we were all using the technology of the 80s. Ain't no rules, never been no rules. We would never have any rules. It was unapologetic music and the attitude of the time, which had never happened or existed before. That's what makes this group unique. Soul to Soul. And what they did, they was different from Loose Ends. It was different from Five Star. Any groups that was doing it at the time, they were just different. So that's why I wanted to talk about them at that time. Not going shy over the fact that our time was incredible. Very much, I believe, a product of the industry, post the hedonistic days of the 70s and what we were able to develop as a musical community in the 80s. Yeah. So this is a great commentary about this group. Like I said, the best of times. Part of my childhood, man. I remember this group vividly growing up. This song used to be played a lot in the hood. It was all, the videos on heavy rotation. Soul to Soul, man, they were definitely different. They were a different group with their own sound, their own way of doing things. And now that's what it comes down to. Classic, classic stuff. Their legacy is submitted. It's one of the great groups of all time, but not just that. Maybe argue the greatest British group of all time. Now they got competition. You know, when we look at Loose Ends, they body of work speaks for itself. Going 5-star. I mean, 5-star did some great stuff. Going with what happened with Loose Ends, but that's what I want to talk about. The chronicle, the life and times of this group. Soul to Soul. This concludes my part 3 series, 3-part series on the rise and the fall of the British black groups. The rise and the fall of the Black British R&B groups. That's what it was all about. The rise and fall of the Black British R&B groups, 5-star, Loose Ends, and Soul to Soul. That'd be it for today, man. I'm not gonna do no more live feeds. I may do some short videos maybe later on today. But keep subscribing to the channel. We appreciate it. I see it growing. It's at 464 subscribers, 36 more subscribers away from 500. So I'm treading in the right direction. The channel is growing day in, day out. I see the numbers. I see the stats. Appreciate it. Keep supporting. Keep doing what you're doing. Until then, I'll be back with short videos later on today. I'll see what happens, but I'm not doing no live streaming. I'll take a break and do some live streaming tomorrow. So until then, talk to you soon.